Huh?
Sorry, I just narrated myself for a second there. I just crashed into somebody.
Oof.
Playing.
I
That's
am
alright.
X.
Don't
I am
worry.
X.
What? Everything's gone silent.
Warm for hot soup today. But you make a killer vichyssoise and a melon cream soup. Okay.
Ooh,
Espere.
fancy.
Here's your game,
Hello.
Espere.
It is my game, yeah. And
Oh,
I
good,
think
you're
the
here.
last time I'm here, yes. And the last time I sent you a replay, it was basically like the enemy giving me a free win and just plenty of opportunity to farm damage. So I thought this might be more interesting because, like, the first thing you probably are seeing right now is something I don't like.
I paused it. Go ahead
Yeah.
and tell us all. What is
Yeah.
it that you don't like?
Well, both destroyer heading for B.
Yep. Now,
Yeah.
if you look at the opponents, I mean, you're in a Kitakaze. Good ship. If you look at the opponents, you have an Iowa, a Soyuz, Tirpitz, Alaska, Mines, Jutland, and a Kitakaze. The biggest threat, of course, is the Alaska. Where's the Alaska going to go? Alaska's probably going to go to Delta 3
100%.
or Echo 4 or 5, right? One of those spots, because that's your typical radar cruiser spot.
Yeah.
So, okay, if Urulay's going to go for B, you're like, fine, I'll just play the middle. That works.
Yeah. Next thing you see is where the Baltimore is going.
You're Baltimore?
Yes, my radar cruiser.
Yeah, he's going where you'd rather see the Rune going. If the Baltimore and Rune would have switched places, I'd be happier. I'm sure you would too.
Yeah, because now the Baltimore is completely out of range to ever use his radar in a useful way. At least in terms of supporting me at A. So that's the next thing that I don't like.
Yep. Here, I might actually turn to the right and get to that small island so that you can get a torpedo solution on the Iowa. You could even use your torpedo reload booster now to have your torps available. Oh, look, the Alaska's on the other island. Okay, good. If he was right on your island right there, the big one, oh boy, right? That would be a problem.
Yeah, but luckily he's far enough away that I can just sit here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking about torping him. It's of course a little late to use my reload booster.
Yes.
So I eventually end up deciding to not do that.
Oh, your anti-air is still
But-
on. You should turn your anti-air off too.
True. But I eventually just end up deciding that, okay, well, there's an Iowa who wants to be farmed, so why not?
Mm.
So I might just do this for a little, and if you look at chat, well, especially the Bismarck player absolutely doesn't like what I'm doing. And I think you talked about this before, advice. Like, he's basically advising me to just go to A and, I don't know, you know the term, like, DD go spot. To basically rush into the Alaska, get raided. There's also either Kitakaze or like the Jutland there, and get myself killed. So obviously I'm not gonna do this.
So, now, your decision to stop and smoke and farm, while I do understand it, I kind of disagree with it. If you wanted to smoke up and farm, you're better off waiting for the Iowa to come even closer to you before you smoke up. Because when you smoke up like you did, and you started shooting the Iowa, now the Iowa's got two choices, right? Charge you and your torpedoes, because he hasn't seen them, but he's sure they're coming, probably. Or try to turn away as quickly as possible, and he's choosing the second. He's ducking for cover. So you are going to get some shell hits on him. You're going to set a fire. You might set another fire that's going to be a permanent fire. But if you look at your smoke timer, you're going to have about 45 whole seconds of additional time that you could be farming that are wasted because of your smoke. Does that make sense?
Only that he already has been on fire, and the permanent, like the fire that is on him right now, is already permanent.
Right.
Because he already used his damage con.
Okay.
So no matter what, he's gonna get a lot of damage. And I also figured that, well, if he's gonna charge me down, he's just gonna die there right now. Because Well, I haven't used my torpedoes or my reload boost at this point.
Mm-hmm. Now, right here, if that is a permanent fire, if that is a sticky fire, I would stop shooting HE at him. That's the other reason I stopped this at this point. I'd switch to AP. You can easily pen the bow with AP. You can pen the superstructure, although it's already saturated. The best place to shoot an Iowa is the stern, because the stern is weak armor and it's a large enough area that you can get a lot of damage chunked off of its butt.
This is something that I personally still have sometimes to learn, is when to shoot AP in a Japanese
Yep.
in a Japanese DD.
Second mistake here, or a thing I want to talk about, you are continuing to reverse. Now, if a destroyer, we see the Kitakaze now, but we haven't seen the Jutland. If the Jutland happened to be up here when you smoked up and shot the Iowa, what's the Jutland going to do right up here?
Well, probably gonna torp the smoke,
Yeah.
because that's the first thing you do in like every
Right.
destroyer.
Right. Smoke is a magnet for torpedoes. So when you lost the shot on the Iowa, there's no reason to keep backing up. Absolutely none. What you're better off doing at that point is hitting forward, getting out of your smoke, essentially kind of put your head up and look around and see what's what. If Jutland is coming really close to you and is turning to make a torpedo run on you, and you come out of that smoke and you catch him at the right perfect time, guess what? You win that engagement, right? I mean, like, you know, versus continuing to reverse, you're broadside to where he will probably be shooting from, and really good chance of getting of taking at least one, if not more, torpedoes.
So my idea here was just to basically go farm the Alaska.
Okay, so if you're
Or
gonna
maybe
do
the turrets.
if you're gonna do that, in my opinion, a better place to farm is gonna be from right here. If you again, when that engagement ended, if you moved up out of your smoke, and then went right south of the E5 island, you could continue to farm the Alaska. When he starts looking at you, you duck behind the island for safety.
Well, at least now I know where the Jutland is, because I'm on his hydro. So,
Do you know where he's at?
well, the Jutland has 3 kilometers of hydro, and I was just being on his hydro twice.
Oh, okay.
So
I must have missed that.
He must be right around the corner.
Okay.
Or right around like the island.
Yeah, I thought you were radared there. My apologies.
So like once again, trying to push up. Yeah, I see why this might be very viable, but it's also very risky.
Mm-hmm.
So the last thing I want to be is caught completely off guard or like shot from multiple directions.
Right. So this is a safer place for you to farm because you're not detected right now. So you can just shoot
Yes,
for free. There's
and
the radar.
even if I like pop my speed boost if I have to, I just move forward and basically out of fire. So now I'm being raided, but who likes shooting at DDs, right? So
Right. Polish Navy.
Just,
Good to see you.
well, it doesn't
Anyways.
make a difference. So
Mm-hmm.
I gotta get going. Have a good day, guys.
okay.
All right. See you later. Oh, look at
Bye-bye.
that. Does he just not care that you exist?
I don't know.
Fortunately,
The world?
engine boost, by the way. Engine boost when you're in a DD engagement with another destroyer and you need to maneuver.
Always.
Engine boost, always. You're gonna take a torpedo because of that. If you had boost
Sadly.
on, you could have stopped in time, probably.
So I end up taking a torpedo, and what that guy doesn't realize is that the Jutland has pretty good AP.
Mm-hmm.
So he could have easily won that engagement. But,
Yes.
well, he ends up continuing shooting AHE, and this is the only reason he lost right there.
Yep. Now, you might have actually been able to win that engagement quicker if you had switched to AP as well.
That was my thought.
What's up, Crimson?
Oh, not too much. At that close range, that Kitakaze, Akazuki, Harugumo AP is just lethal beyond belief.
Yes.
But that's one of the few, like, very tiny nuisances that just makes a great player is to make those, like, to not only see this, but like realize basically within the first salvo that he immediately has to switch to AP. And it might even be a very slim difference, but it ends up winning battles, and that's what, well, you end up wanting to do, especially in rank, right?
Exactly.
I mean, the thing to remember is, remember what that AP can do to a battleship superstructure, and it ends. And I mean, they're better armored than most DDs that you're going to see. So if they're going to do that kind of damage to them, they're going to shred destroyers.
Well, in either case, you have managed to win that side, but of course the Alaska is still a threat, and somebody's not happy with you. You've got...
So yeah.
Go ahead.
So luckily, I was able to put the Alaska on fire. That's always good news, and I honestly don't even know why this guy was pinging me at this point.
Probably because
One thing to... Go ahead.
he either wants you in front of him to deal with the other destroyer because your destroyer died, or he wants you to back cap C, which no, I wouldn't do. Or he wants you to deal with A, but I also wouldn't do that either. So at this point, with your smoke down, I would probably say your best play would be to go into the middle, north of the mines in the Kitakaze, let your smoke come back up again, and then you can farm the mines for free for quite a long time. And that gives you the
I personally
option.
decided just to open up on the Alaska, support the Baltimore, make sure he dies.
Well, for some odd
Of course.
reason, he doesn't seem to care that you're there in low health. So, I mean,
Yeah, I saw he was committed. I know that I can maybe dodge him for long enough. His turrets are slow turning. He's also turning away from me, so...
yeah. So,
Here's my thinking real quick on
Okay.
The early battle and how it's progressed to here, and how you just opened fire with low health, out in the open because you felt you needed to. One thing, especially with the Akizuki triplets, that people forget is how much HP they have compared to other destroyers that they play.
Yep.
You can get away with being out in the open and not using your smoke and just chain firing somebody because you're harder to hit. Especially the Kitakaze is significantly faster.
yeah,
And you do have the smoke as a get out of jail free card, and I think you were too cautious.
I don't think so. And I don't, the reason being is in ranked, hit points are everything. Conservation health is really important. Yes, people can shoot at you, and yes, you can dodge them at max range, but if I see a max range Kitakaze, Akizuki, whatever, I just laugh, because they're probably not going to hit much if I'm maneuvering. And the important thing is, these guys are ridiculous at close to medium range with the torpedoes, the guns, and their penetration. And I think if you go farther back, you just miss out on a lot of opportunity there. So I don't disagree with the use of smoke earlier on the Iowa, other than just thinking about when is the best time to use it, and then what to do after that smoke is done.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't play our open water. I've done it before.
Gandalf in the chat, I agree by the way with him, because like he's saying against the Alaska, it's something you can do. There's other ships like the Riga, for example, that this would be a terrible idea to open water gunboat. But against an Alaska that is already occupied shooting at another ship,
Yep. But
it's very doable.
But early in the battle, I don't want them to know where I'm at. I don't want to be shooting at open water at max range and have 1, 2, 5 ships shooting at me and positioning
I wasn't
based off
talking
that
about being
location.
at max range. No. That's not a good idea at all.
But what I'm getting at, Crimson, is if you opened up on that Alaska or early on, or the Iowa early on, the Jutland knows exactly where you're at. Everybody else knows where you're at. If you use that smoke as a get out of jail free card, what's preventing the Jutland from hydro charging you, or any cruiser or other ship that's got hydro or radar? So, I personally, I think that's a little bit too risky early on in the battle. Maybe later you can, you know, as the people are thinned out, the opponents are thinned out, sure. But I think early on, conservation of health is really important. Duckman, you said, why not go for the Northern Cap early on? The reason I don't think it's a good idea to go to the Northern Cap early on is because it takes Esperay out of the battle for so long just to get himself up there. And the problem with doing that is, I don't know about you, but I like to call it the ranked maneuver when your team just falls apart. In the South, at the time at least, it was 2-on-2. I think, if I remember right. So
it was worse. Like at the very beginning of the battle, the Rune just got death striked, and we had a Baltimore that was completely out of position.
right.
So what I felt like is that there were a lot of losing cues really at the beginning of the match. And this is partially why I figured this would maybe be an interesting match to look at, because eventually it ended up still being a like rather decisive victory.
Absolutely. But after you know, when the Alaska's by itself at A, and you're low health, and if you said I'm going to go to B, if something happens to the group out east, there's nothing you can do about it anymore. You know. So that's you know, that's my thinking on the matter. Thanks again, Esperay, for being an awesome sub and sending in some cool replays. That was really good to look at.
Always. It's always a pleasure.
Perfection. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to run this battle. Hopefully it's a win. And I'm going to run a 30-second ad while the battle goes. And let's see what happens here. And then we'll get into our next replay. What is our next replay? It is Lego Party Australia in the Vampire 2.
This should be an interesting race.
Oh yeah, look how fast my guy is. Jeez. He's like, I'm just gonna eat up everything. What's up, Sergeant Slaughter?
You guys on performance-enhancing drugs.
That's the power of haste.
I know, right?
Chobes, what was your replay? I don't remember. I usually ping people if I'm covering their replay, and I don't recall, do I owe you a replay coverage, a sub replay, or cover my replay or whatever? Sublimation, you're gonna get the coinage, and then Iron Milos and WD-40 are gonna get the other scrolls. So, nice. And then we go to a 2-skull. This one's a little bit easier. So what's going to happen here, for those of you guys who are unused to this, you get to the battle, you find B, and then you pick a unit that you want to drop. Now, if you look at the unit, you can see that there are swords that appear above people's heads, and that tells you that, you know, this particular unit, the Barbarian, is good at killing these guys here, these leader bots. So you can decide what, you know, what unit you want to place that, you know, can do the job for you, essentially. So, like, for me, I'm probably going to go ahead and support. I suppose I could do the Barbarian. Let's do it. All right.